I'm not going to make a terrible boxing pun about this. I'm not going to do it. Is Creed 3 a knockout? God, I hate myself.
You out there boxing. I need you to start fighting.
Hey, what's up, my dude? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here. And yes, I did just go watch Creed 3. So I wanted to jump on real quick, let you know my thoughts about it, the pros, the cons, all of that, to see if this is a movie that maybe you want to check out. So if you're into movie reviews, ranking videos, trailer reactions, all that good stuff, make sure you subscribe. So first things first, for those that are not familiar with Creed as a franchise, of course, it's a spin-off of Rocky. This is the 9th installment in the Rocky/Creed universe. And it is the first movie in all of those movies to be directed by Michael B. Jordan, who of course also plays Adonis Creed. Now, as far as a plot of the movie, in Creed 3, Adonis has finally retired after basically dominating the boxing world for a number of years, moving into the position of becoming more of a promoter and really just spending more time with his family, when suddenly a childhood friend played by Jonathan Majors named Damien reappears. Adonis and Damien share a complicated and somewhat sordid past that resulted in Damien being locked up for 18 years. Prior to that, Damien was a Golden Gloves boxing champion and really was setting his sights on becoming a professional fighter. And now that he sees all that Adonis has accomplished while he was locked up, he wants his shot. So as I mentioned before, this is Michael B. Jordan's not only his first time directing a Creed movie, but his first time directing a movie, period. And if this is what we can expect from Michael B. Jordan as a director, I will take more gladly. Right off the rip, he did a fantastic job creatively with this movie, and we'll get more into that into kind of the pros section of my review. But yes, if you're wondering if Michael B. Jordan can direct, absolutely. Also, although this might be the third movie in the Creed series by name, it really feels to me like a jumping off point for the franchise. This is really the first movie where Creed himself steps out from the shadow of Rocky. And although I'm sure they would have liked to have Sylvester Stallone in this movie, I think it almost serves it better to be able to kind of create their own thing without having to rely on necessarily all of that nostalgia. So including that in some of my pros, this is again the 9th installment in the Rocky/Creed franchise. So there's a real chance that this could just be a dry repetition of a movie we've already seen time and time again. But Michael B. Jordan and everybody else involved in this really does go down a different path than any of the Rocky or Creed movies that I've seen before. And it's opening up this character and this world to, I think, a whole new audience. You know, when I think about the Rocky franchise and even the first 2 Creed movies, I feel like those movies are more targeted at people that maybe grew up with the original Rocky movies, or even those of us like myself who, when they were a young kid, had their parents introduce them to it. And now with the way that Creed is going, it feels like we are in a place where new people can come into the franchise without necessarily having to have seen Rocky 1 through 5 or Rocky Balboa. So I guess Rocky 1 through 6, and they can just kind of start fresh from here. And I think that's a good thing. Now, as far as the story itself is concerned, I feel that the stakes were very palpable. The relationships in the movie were really strong. And that's really what most Rocky movies are about. It's not necessarily about just boxing. It's about the relationships. And this movie spends a lot of time exploring family, not only with Michael B. Jordan, Adonis's wife and daughter, but in the kind of adopted family, the family that we choose in our life with Michael B. Jordan's character and Jonathan Majors. It also tackles different themes like regret, guilt, masculinity in a lot of ways, specifically when it comes to how we deal with our emotions. I probably don't have to tell you, but a lot of times as men, we are expected to kind of keep everything inside and not really express ourselves when we're feeling upset about something, particularly something that might make us sad or would bring us to cry or to express our emotion in that way. And this movie explores and really tackles that it's okay to share your feelings with people that are close to you and important to you. And in fact, it's important to do that. Otherwise, you risk driving those people away. And so I really like how it's not just a movie about the plot, as far as the plot that we read online. It's not just someone shows up and Creed has to fight him and that's the story. It's no, this is a person who is dealing with a lot emotionally in their life. And it is settled in some ways through this boxing match, but not entirely. They also have to grow as a person. I also want to talk about Jonathan Majors. He has been in a bunch of things recently. What's crazy, he only got out of drama school just, I think, 5 years ago and has since been taking the world by storm. He was in the Ant-Man movie recently. Now he's, of course, in this. And he is a revelation. Whether it's with his relationship with Michael B. Jordan, they really do come off as two people that could have been childhood friends. They really have that authenticity to themselves on screen. But also just in the way that he plays his character. His character, Damien, was in prison for 18 years. And I did see an interview where Jonathan Majors talks about his stepdad who was locked up for quite some time. And he talks about how he got inspiration from him and a lot of the way that Damien navigates the world and his mannerisms and the way he talks and the way he acts are based on that experience. And if you've ever known someone who's spent a lot of time locked up, I know I have, there is a certain way that they deal with the world that is very unique. And there's a level of trauma there that is very unique to someone who has had their freedoms taken from them for an extended period of time. And he absolutely nails that in this movie. I also appreciate that he's not just playing some mustache twirling villain. You know, he's not just the bad guy for badness sake. You really feel for his character. You understand where he's coming from. You can sympathize or empathize with him. And in some ways you want him to succeed, not in a way that would harm, obviously, the protagonist, but you want his character to have some sort of vindication or reward, or you just want things to turn out okay for him in the end. And I think Adonis does as well. So all in all, Jonathan Majors does an incredible job. The relationships in this movie are fantastic and so realistic. The fight scenes, I want to talk about the fight scenes. The fight scenes are amazing. These are probably some of my favorite fight scenes in the entire Rocky franchise. Now, when you're watching a movie like Rocky or Creed, if you're a boxing fan like myself, they're not the most authentic when it comes to the actual things that are occurring on screen. A lot of the technique, there's a lot of punches to the head that people are taking and not blocking at all. The technique is, you know, normally it's a couple of actors that probably took a couple months of boxing classes, and it's not what you would expect, or it's not the most realistic thing in the world. But what I appreciate that they did with this movie is that they leaned into that hyper realism. I feel that they understand that these movies are not supposed to be documentaries, but rather a lot of the fighting is supposed to be a metaphor for what's going on in the lives of the characters. And Michael B. Jordan talks a lot about his love of anime. So for those of you that are weebs like me, you already know that Michael B. Jordan is one of us. But he talks a lot about how that inspired some of the fight scenes in this movie. And you can totally see it. There are some things right out of Dragon Ball Z, of course. There's a few scenes in there. There's something out of Hajime no Ippo, if you've ever seen that. It's a great boxing anime. And also with the relationship between Adonis and Damien, it is very Goku, Vegeta, or Naruto, Sasuke. Like, that is a classic anime relationship right there. And I just love that Michael B. Jordan is able to implement his own unique style derived from a lot of the things that inspired him. And I think that some of that will be hit or miss with some people. Some people might not appreciate what he did, particularly with some of the fight scenes, but I was blown away watching it in theaters. And now, as far as the negatives, I'll be honest, I don't really have many negatives at all. I thought the movie was all in all incredible. You know what? I have one negative. Speaking of Naruto, this isn't a spoiler because it doesn't really have anything to do with the plot, but there's a scene that takes place when they're kids. So it's in 2002, and you see Adonis. You see him in the trailer too. So you see young Adonis in the movie, but it shows his bedroom, and on the wall he has a Naruto poster. Now, here's the thing: it is a Naruto poster with Naruto on it post the original time jump in the anime. I told you guys I'm a weeb, okay? But again, the scene is in 2002. That time jump did not occur in 2002. In fact, Naruto started airing in Japan in 2002, but at the very end of 2002. So I'm just saying that poster should not have been there, and that is my biggest negative about this movie. And for that, I have to fail it. I'm just kidding. No, that's just, I noticed that and I was like, wait a minute, 2002, that doesn't add up. But on a serious note, this movie is amazing. I think for me, off the top of my head, it might be my favorite movie in the Creed trilogy, but to be sure, I'm gonna have to sit down, and what I'm gonna do is put together my ranking of every Rocky and Creed movie. So I will have them fully ranked in the next few days. So if you want to see that video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now, of course, these are just my thoughts, my opinions on the movie. I loved it, but I'd love to know what you think about it. If you've seen Creed 3, did you like it as much as I did, or did you have more problems with it? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you want to support me and my channel here, the best way to do that right now, besides subscribing, is through my Amazon affiliate link in the description box. It's really the only way that I'm making any money on this channel. So real simple, if you plan on buying anything on Amazon today, just click through that link. Doesn't cost you anything extra. It just gives me a little kickback. Otherwise, if you want to see more movie reviews, ranking videos, trailer reactions, all that good stuff, make sure you subscribe. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Be good.